Welcome to Coach SG and Friends, where we discuss topics that help you have a better relationship with yourself and others. I am Coach SG, otherwise known as your joyful friend. I'm a relationship coach and life mentor, an entrepreneur and speaker. I'm based out of Los Angeles, but originally from Brooklyn, New York. I love great music, deep conversations, and inspiring people to live their best emotional lives and create their most amazing love story. Let me introduce you to my two friends, Janessa Rose and Lisa Miranda. Janessa is the CEO of Motivational Monsters, a nonprofit that helps people activate mental health and emotional well-being through creative arts. She is the author of How to Stop Being an Effing Bum. BUM stands for Broken Urban Mentality. She's been dubbed the Tony Robbins / Cardi B of motivational speakers, and she calls herself the Galactic Goddess. Lisa Miranda is an actor and creative director. She's also dabbling in producing. She is based in Miami, New York, and Paris. She is a world traveler who speaks several languages, who loves life, good people, and good conversation. So we want to welcome you to our podcast. Let's get started. All right, welcome back, ladies. We are here. I'm so glad to have you guys all back. We are talking about how the heck do you love yourself? It's because, you know, all the messages tell us that we can't truly find love or maintain love if we don't love ourselves. So how the heck do you love yourself? Sure that we're given tools. So Janessa mentioned about writing love letters to her future guy and do an artist day. You know, with my clients, you know, I have them do affirmations. I also believe in focusing on the things that make you feel really good, because you have to be able to give yourself pleasure, physically and other ways, you know, in order to communicate what your needs are. If you are not catering to yourself and you're expecting someone else to cater to you, how can you communicate what you need if you're not used to doing it for yourself? The other thing too is I find that the other way that I love myself is by listening to myself. I never used to listen to myself before. You know, as a kid, I was, you know, you're made to be seen and not heard. So your feelings didn't matter. Your presence didn't matter. What you needed didn't matter. The parents mattered. So I wasn't used to like, oh, what do I want to do today? What would I like to eat? What, you know, I wasn't used to like listening to myself. I was used to getting advice from outside. I was used to, you know, coordinating with other people what I should do. And now, you know, and it still takes me some time. Sometimes I'm just like, is that something I should do because of my experience? I don't know, you know, but now I just like, fuck it, whatever I want, I'm going to do. And the more that I do that, I'm able to discern what's right for me. But I wasn't used to doing that because I was used to looking for agreement. If you agreed with me, then I was okay. Because that's how I was brought up as a kid, that, you know, if you don't behave, you know, I'm not nice to you, but when you behave, I'm nice to you. So I was used to like, you know, performing for everybody.
Yeah. No, that makes so much sense. And I come from that too, but I was very boisterous anyway. And so I learned to get attention not by behaving the way they wanted me to, but by misbehaving. So much so that they were like, "Oh, we have to give her extra attention." And it was too much. So I picked up self-sabotaging behavior very young. One of the other things that I want to bring up is it's not only about, because Sherelle, you brought up your family, right? Friendships and family, right? This is where our environment starts to structure us. And one of my things is with self-love, and I'm still battling with this now, right? This is outside of relationships. I'm real clear on like relationships, like don't take advantage of me. I've been abused too much, right? And then, right? And then, but now it's friendships for me. I am starting to realize that loving myself looks like I might have to be mean to you. Not that I want to be mean. No, really. Not that I want. I'm a really good friend, right? With my people, my friends, if I can offer you and provide for you in any way, if my cup is runneth over, I will give of you. My cup is.
Right.
But when my cup is starts to shrink it, and I ask for a zippeth of your cup is, you better never be like, I don't know what you got, ever, because that will immediately trigger in me boundaries. And one of my main things is at first, I used to be like, it's okay, it's all right, I'm good. I know how to make my cup runneth over anyway. So I'll just wait till my cup runneth over again and then share with them and then whatever's left of me. And I would be in that mind space of I can still be friends and still be okay with them if they don't want to share with me and stuff. But lately, I'm starting to realize that even being like, you know what? I cannot be I can't be for you what you're not willing to be for me. I thought for a long time that's that's confrontational, that's mean, that's gonna hurt them. They might not have the area that I need them in. But the truth of the matter is that is self-love. That is also a way of self-love. I'm sorry, but I am not interested in this connection any longer because whenever I offer you the opportunity to invest in the connection, you're choosing otherwise. And I don't want that. It doesn't make me feel good. And that's something I've been battling with. And so for those of you who are watching and you see that coming up in your lives, that people are just not able or willing or capable of being there for you the way you're there for them, that's a boundary that needs to be activated. And that is a self-love tactic. And it may not feel that way because it's going to be hard to exercise that strength, but it's it's shown to be an important one in my life.
So for those who don't know, who is listening to this podcast, we're also on YouTube. So we also have a YouTube channel. So if you want to see what we look like, you can go to YouTube at Coach SG and Friends, and you can see what we look like and hear what we're talking about, but have some visuals as well. But go ahead, Janessa, go ahead.
That was a really big one for me because it's that setting boundaries. It's kind of being mean because sometimes they don't want to hear that. They don't want to be reminded of the things that are truthful. It's like, yo, listen, this doesn't work. I show up for you and I really need you, and you're not willing to show up for me, and that doesn't work for me. And it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to do that. But that's been most recently one of my newer outside of relationships and love.
I'm glad that you brought that up because when we talk about relationships, we're talking about romantic relationships, but really we're talking about all relationships, family relationship, work relationships, and friendships, because friendships are just as hard sometimes as, as romantic relationships, because you're with them all the time. You count on them, you're vulnerable with them. But I don't know necessarily if for me, I have to be mean as much as I feel uncomfortable having to make boundaries. And when I make my boundaries and I feel like they're pushing against it, that's where meanness, sometimes feels like it's coming in when they're not accepting it. Yeah. Or, I notice sometimes I need to create boundaries, don't want to do it. So I let shit slide. And then I let it slide again and then slide again until I blow up. So I don't deliver my boundaries in a great way because I've let shit just go for a while, because I've like, I don't need to say anything now. Oh no, it's not really a big deal. You can be joyful. Don't worry about it. And then before I know it, I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I paid for this and I paid for that, and I'm sick of paying for shit. And
That's like you just said, when we let shit slide, right? Or when we're in the space of, I don't really need to say anything. I know where that's coming from. When we're in our higher faculty and we're like, oh, is that really loving ourselves? Or are we really just saying, I don't want to be mean? Or, like I said, when I was saying, oh, I might be mean to you, it's very true. I'm not really intending that at first until they're resistant of what I'm what's important to me, my boundary. But immediately you got to go into that space of, yo, am I being really loving to myself, when I should be able to say it the moment that it's not received. Like, listen, I respect your perception of it, but this here is my circumstance where I'm not necessarily in position to allow you to treat me in this way. And what we do is we don't do that because we're more in the fear, like Lisa was mentioning earlier, of I'm going to come off mean, I'm going to upset them, this might hurt them, they might not be ready for this. I know
you know, when people say you can't love someone until you love yourself, I don't know necessarily agree with that. I agree with it to some degree. I just think you can't maintain a healthy love life if you're not loving yourself, because what happens when you don't love yourself is that you don't know how to ask for what you need. You're uncomfortable making healthy boundaries. You feel like you're being mean when you're really not being mean. You're just asking for what you need.
Mm.
I think also, you know, like I was saying, I felt like I was lovable based on who loved me. So that's how I love myself. So if you didn't love me now, or you weren't doing what I asked you to do, and you know this is important to me, now I'm thinking you don't love me now, you know. And but their love doesn't define how I love me. It really just gives me information that I have to decide, like, you know, whether it's a friendship or a love relationship. You know, if I feel like I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm not getting back, I don't really have to create all these, you know, crazy boundaries. I really just have to go like, do I really want to do this for long?
Mhm.
And I don't
Right.
care if it's my family, my friends, or, you know, it doesn't matter. Like it's not, there's some about, like, they feel like if they're family, they get a pass.
Right.
But
Friends
no,
I
too.
you
lived
don't
through
get a
all
pass.
this.
You still have to
Yeah.
treat me the way I want to be treated.
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes you do end up having to change the dynamic of your relationship with really strong boundaries. And you might be lonely for a while, because that was my case. But now, after, like, at the end of that tunnel, I feel like I have a lot of really good people in my life that I want to be more like, you know, as opposed to people in my life that I want to help them change. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of people that I aspire to be more like, you know, and I feel really good about that. But it was a process, because letting people go can be really hard. But if you know who's adding value and who's taking up space and keeping you from giving yourself the attention that you need. And that for me was harder with friendships and family, because I thought I'm supposed to, like, that's something you're supposed to do. Relationships come and go, but your friends are forever, your family's forever. That I had that mentality. So I had carried this weight around with me unnecessarily. And because I was busy taking care of them, I didn't really have to look at myself. I didn't have to do as much work because I had to sort out their problems. So sometimes we hide from ourselves with other people's issues. And then when we're overwhelmed, we're like, I don't know how this happened. You know, it's really okay. What am I doing for me? How am I loving me? How am I investing in me? You know, money's another big one. I don't have the money to do the things I want for myself. I don't have the money to, you know, to what, like, you find ways to do things that are important to you, and you have to find ways to prioritize you, and not in an outwards way, but really, what do I need to invest in myself so I could feel better, so I could feel more excited, so I could feel more in my power in this life. Otherwise it passes you by. You're hoping someone was going to help you. You're hoping someone is going to be there for you or whatever. But you got to be able to do that first, because you set the tone for the rest of your relationships.
Absolutely.
Yes, power stuff right there. Powerful. That was a bunch of power hitters right there, Lise.
I agree. I do.
And
Our goal really every time we do this podcast is to, you know, teach people what we've learned. And, you know, I feel like, you know, now that I'm a coach, I've learned a lot more information. I'm seeking different information than I was before. Before I was a coach, I was trying to diagnose myself. Am I codependent? Am I this? Am I that? You know, now I'm not trying to diagnose anything. I'm just trying to be in my power all the time. So I'm really trying to reach for what makes me feel good, what makes me feel empowered, rather than diagnosing what the problem is. Like, I just got to get out of the problem and find the solution. The other thing I realized that because I was so used to doing things and performing for other people and catering to them to have them love me, that I was so used to that I wasn't listening to myself and I wasn't catering to myself. And it made me uncomfortable to do things for myself or to say no to people when I felt like I had the resources. Like, come on, Sherelle, you can go. They want you to go. I know. So what? You're tired. Like, you could go. And now I'm just like, yeah, no. I'm a priority. And I had to keep doing that until it was a habit. And now I'm not as like, you know, at first I had to be real like militant and diligent about it until it became a habit. And now, you know, it's easier. But at first I had to white knuckle it. Like, no, I don't want to go.
Oh, Sherelle, I'm sorry. I love that. I love that because I've experienced that, right? So I've got to share this really quickly. I had a client, right, who I was doing spiritual work with, and I would read for her cards a lot and do life coaching and spiritual coaching for her, right? Now she began to get comfortable with doing moon circles. I was doing moon circles with her for her. I'll travel out or whatever have you. And one day she pops up out of nowhere. She lives all the way in Long Island somewhere. And she tells me, I'm in Brooklyn in Sheepshead. Ain't never been to Sheepshead a day in her life. But all of a sudden she's in Sheepshead and she's like, it's a full moon. We should do a circle. And I'm like, I think I have the resource to do that today. I think I could do that. And I might be able to. But just turned out that it was a pop-up. It was an extra thing. So throughout the day, it became too much. And I'm telling you, by the time I was ready to meet up with her, I was done, like exhausted, feet swollen, tired, and I cannot work no energy and do no types of magic if I'm drained, right? So I call her, and she's a client, not a friend, not a family, not a lover. I text her and I say, listen, I'm so sorry, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do the circle today. I'm really drained, I'm exhausted, and I have to, you know, secure and protect my energy. I can't work anything and do anything under this circumstance. Would you know that this woman calls me back a couple days after, right? And tells me that she needs to get this off her chest. And I give her the space out of respect. Okay, no problem. And I knew she was going to say something. She expressed how she was upset that I texted her and not called her. But after I apologized, I said, well, you know, I didn't really, you know, that was not what I wanted, you know, intended. I just really have a thing about respecting my energy and I cannot work outside of that if I, you know, I push myself. She went on to continue to tell me how I owe her, how she doesn't care that I was tired and that when she's sick and feverish, she still shows up to appointments and I needed to be available to her and all of this and all of that. And I sat there on that phone, man, and I listened to her. I said, man, listen, let me tell you something, man. I said, listen, lady, if I have a sniffle, I'm not showing up. That's the type of person I am. Because I need to respect myself. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, and I said a whole bunch of things that were real entertaining. That's how I went deep in. I was just listening to her and building it up. Like, I'm going to blow your shit in 2 seconds, right? But I felt real confident and powerful in that because I was like, I'm real comfortable in this already. Because I respect my energy. I cannot show up. I have to take care of myself or I'm never going to be able to be great for anyone. And I really, really felt that at that moment. It was like building up inside of me. It was like this little superhero of love myself to the rescue. It's like, lady, I ain't coming. Right? But anyway, that's what it was. And she was not ready for that. Point of the matter is I cut her off. She's no longer my client and she's still texting me for help. And I don't even answer.
Well, I think, you know, the reason that people say you've got to love yourself, it's going to be hard for you to love someone when you don't love yourself is because it's going to be hard for you to communicate what it is that you need. It's going to be hard for you to, you know, set boundaries without feeling like you got, here's my boundary, you know, because asking for what you need is setting those boundaries, right? And the other part of it, I think, is you're just used to taking care of yourself. I do think daily affirmations, you know, as stupid as they may seem, and I know when I started doing it was very uncomfortable. It just felt like in the mirror or whatever, you know, but after a while, it became natural. Like, you know, oh yeah, you do look pretty today. Like, you know, and I do like that smile on you. And I do think you're pretty kind, but it took some, you know, it took some practice. And, you know, I think also, besides setting boundaries, I'm trying to read all this, right, is also we become emotionally dependent on other people. Like you were just explaining about this client. She became dependent on you, like she can't move forward. And we do that in our relationships. I've done it, you know, obviously I was standing outside the door.
You're not going on no date today.
Yeah, not with her. You know, I'm emotionally dependent on him to love me, for me to feel validated. And, you know, now it really is about, I love myself enough that you can be you and I can be me, and I don't have to take you personally all the time. I still get upset though. I still get upset when people don't do what I want them to do and don't treat me how I want them to treat me.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, but now my energy is not in changing them, it's in empowering myself. That's the difference. So when you were talking about filling up your cup, I'm not trying to putting all my energy into filling up their cup and figuring out what they're supposed to do so that I can feel better. Instead, I just fill up my cup. Okay, so how do I feel empowered in this situation right now? Because me having an attitude and me, doing whatever, might feel that might be the best thing I could do at that time. And I have to nurture myself and say, it's okay to have an attitude because you pissed off. And you're all right, and you're gonna be all right, and they're not gonna melt because you're upset with them. But how do I get in my power? Because most of the time it's just I'm saying I have a need and I want you to fulfill it. And if you can't fulfill it, just communicate with me. Don't string me along. Don't tell me how it needs to be different. Don't tell me how my needs to be different and why do you feel this way when you should feel this way. I just want you to hear what I have to say. And I want to be able to be that person to someone else too. So I think self-love is really just a practice every day, but it's really in your engagement with other people.
I respect that. And I could really appreciate, what you're saying about me selling you what I need. It's hard, but that's the thing. I'm getting that. That's a big one for me today. I'm trying to tell you what I need and it's hard for me, but this is me loving myself. I love that.
I have to add that the affirmation work that Sherelle just mentioned, when I started doing that in front of the mirror, that was probably one of the most powerful things I have learned to do in my adult life. Okay. Not like this year, not like, the last 10 years. I mean, like in my life, like looking in my eyes and repeating things like I love you to myself is, I don't even have words. That's how powerful it's been, especially because I wasn't, I was spending all of my time pouring love out and not watering my own seeds of love. You know what I'm saying? Not giving myself that attention, that care. I mean, I don't know how many times I had said it before my whole life, probably a handful of times to myself, So I think that is monumental in building up your worthiness, because once you feel worthy, you feel like you can have the things that you want, the relationships, the fit, the material things, the experiences. You feel valid enough in your, you know what I'm saying? In your, you feel valid in your wantings. You feel like you deserve it. You feel like you can have it, and you don't have to ask other people for permission. You don't have to, you don't have to value what they say if it doesn't align with what you believe. You learn to just, to get on your path. And I think that's what this is all about, finding your path, feeling comfortable in it, not letting anybody shake you off of it, and being able to just ride out in this life the way that you really want.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. Affirmations.
Thank you.
Affirmations are super powerful. I'm to the point now where even when I walk Mellow around the block early in the morning, like before I do anything, that's an additional affirmation time. When I'm walking him around, I'm telling the universe, I'm thinking, I'm like a gratitude, but I'm also speaking out loud. The people think I'm crazy over here because I'll be like, I am Janessa Rose. I am an influential speaker. I am a billionaire. This is me on the block.
You know what? I do it too sometimes, but I usually have a mask on so no one can tell what I'm doing. Like, especially if I'm about to go do something difficult, I'm already repeating all these great things. And if you're looking at my mask move, mind your business.
That's it. Because I am healed and I'm speaking life over me.
I love that, ladies. I think as women also, we beat ourselves up. Like, we're not the right weight. We're not the right, I'm good beating myself about my hair. It's just, we're not enough. We just keep saying we're not enough. And affirmations help us to feel like enough. And, but it can't just be affirmations. That's just one way, right? It's one way to get us towards there, to finally look ourselves in the eye and say, like, I don't need anybody else to love me, but you. I need you to love me, And I think the other part is, and then you want to make sure that your behavior is aligned with what you're saying. Because at first it's just affirmations. But when the affirmations are lined up with your behavior, when you're just like, yeah, this doesn't feel good to me. This is not good for my well-being. I love you and I know that you love me, but these things are not good for my well-being. So I'm out, and with love, I'm out,
Yeah.
So,
Like this. It's
thank
like,
you, ladies. Thank you so much. This was a great conversation again. If you have any questions that you want to send to us, you can send us video questions. We'll post it to our YouTube channel, but you'll hear your voice on the podcast platform as well. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Woo!
Well, guys. Bye.
Thank you guys.
All right.
My joyful friends, that's our show. Thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe and leave a review. Share this episode with someone you think would get some value out of it. We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Bye-bye now.